What's going on, everybody? The Original Mako back with some more Shark Scale, where we are ranking animes that I have just finished watching and putting them on a giant list because I can. Anyway, if you are new to this, there are going to be spoilers for this show. If you haven't seen it, if you plan on seeing it, then you might want to tune away until you watch it and come back. Or maybe you're like, maybe I'll look to see if this is a recommendation. Yeah, this is more of a review. So, I guess I'll start the video by saying I would recommend watching it, for sure. If you enjoy action anime, short 13 episode anime, based off a video game. So some of you may already have a little bit of background information, a video game that I now want to play after watching this. So, yeah. Anyway. Going to be some spoilers, so be prepared for that. Now, the ranking system we use is we rank a bunch of different categories out of 100, and then total get the average of all of those. We have C for characters, S for story, W for world, M for the music, soundtrack, OST, all that, A for animation, and OE for overall enjoyment. Now, God Eater, I like to do a quick little summary of my thoughts before we get into the specifics. This was surprisingly good. It sounded cool, God Eater. And I started watching it, and in the first episode, I thought, uh-oh, here we go. Because the animation style I wasn't a big fan of it. It's very unique. It's not like most other animes. I don't know how exactly I would describe it, other than by saying it is unique. However, I will say what ended up happening was I ended up really enjoying that animation style for fight scenes and not enjoying that animation style so much when there weren't fight scenes. Good news for me, every episode had fights. It was very action heavy, very, very good story. And the balance between the story and action was pretty crazy how much action they got out of it, considering it's only 13 episodes and they had to tell an entire story. Well, they had to tell a lot of a story. Anyway, they set it up for a sequel at the end. It's not like it'd be the craziest thing if there is no second season right now. Hopefully there will be. But it's not going to be the worst thing if it doesn't have one, but it would be a little bit frustrating. Regardless, I was a fan of this one. I was pleasantly surprised by the show. So let's get into the specifics and start talking about more of the in-depth things here. So first of all, we've got the characters. This one's very interesting because there are a lot of characters in the show and a lot of characters that you really want to learn about, because you get a little like dip in, you get to stick the tip in, if you will, to each and every single one of these characters, and you're like, I want to know more about their backstory. I want to know why. I want to know more about them, because they're all good characters. They all have really good stories, really unique stories, really unique reasons for being where they are and doing what they're doing. And every single character is like, I just want to know more. I just want to know more. But it's only 13 episodes, so you only get so much. Once again, it's not like they wrap up the story in the 13th episode. They set it up, so there should be a second season. This came out 7 years ago. So is there going to be a second season? I don't know. I lost hope with Classroom of the Elite, but then Classroom of the Elite has a second season now. So there's a chance, but the characters are very well designed. They just need more time to dig into the stuff that you really want to dig into. But the characters that do get dug into, it's super fun, and you learn a lot, and there's a lot of really cool. You just get to, it feels like you're, right there with the character. You learn a lot about them. You get to be with them. So the character design is really good. I wish there was just a little bit more. That's why I can't give this a higher rating. If there's ever a season 2, then I guarantee the character rating will probably skyrocket up. But the few characters that they do really get to dig into, it is phenomenal. Just really, really good. So I'm going to give it a above average rating, but I can't give it anything too crazy. because it wouldn't be fair. So we're going to give it an 82 for the characters. But yeah, it'll absolutely leave you wanting more for each character, which I think is a good thing, but also not a good thing if there's not a second season. Story. The storyline is pretty good. Once again, it wasn't anything too wild until the end. There's a lot of build up again with this one. At the end, though, you do get a lot of satisfaction from that build up because you realize, oh shit, this is what's happening. They also do a really cool thing in this show that I liked a lot, where it would, I don't want to say seamlessly, but it would almost seamlessly transition between the past and the present. And whenever it transitioned to the past, the whole show would be black and white, so you could tell. And you got an insight into how everything happened in a very engaging and intriguing way compared to some other animes. I can't quite put my finger on why I liked the backstories sex segment so much, but for some reason in this anime it just felt good. It just felt right with the backstories. There's a lot of other ones where it's like frustrating. It's like, ugh, here we go again. But for this one, it was really good. I liked it a lot. So, for the story, I think it's definitely above average. Just once again, nothing mind-blowing, but I'll give this one a little bit of a higher score than 86. 86 for this one. The world's really cool. I like the world building here. It's very... The first thing that instantly came to my mind in episode 1 was Attack on Titan, because there's these giant monsters that are ravaging the world and only certain people can kill them, and they're trying to protect humanity, and humans are getting eaten alive left and right. It's a good base for building a world around it, and there's a lot of really cool things. It's not just a cut and dry, oh, we're on land here and there's just this enemy and we're just slicing them up. There's a lot more to it and a lot more depth in the world. And I think that's super interesting and cool. And once again, the backstory does a lot for pushing this world building forward, which is pretty awesome in my opinion. So we're going to stick to around the same kind of area. I think I'll go a little higher for this one because once again, the world does get built out pretty good for 13 episodes. And I think it needs to be a little bit rewarded for that. Nothing crazy, but we'll go 88 for the world. Music and OST, the intro's good. Outro was whatever. The soundtrack during like fight scenes and stuff was fine. It wasn't great. I'd say it's definitely very average. If not, I might even go slightly below average for the music. But it just didn't bring anything extra to the fight scenes, you know. It didn't make me want to sit there and just listen to that intro all day. So I think I'm going to I'll go 68 for the, 68 for the music. A little below, slightly below average. It's not like it was bad. It's not like I was like, oh my God, I can't even listen to the intro. But it just wasn't, it didn't add anything extra, as with a lot of shows. The music does really add a lot of extra. So next up, we have the animations. Once again, I kind of touched on this a little bit, but it's very unique animation style that looks really, really good in fights and not so good outside of fights, in my opinion. It started to settle in with me a little bit. I don't think it's nearly as bad as something as like Tower of God. That was hard for me to watch, but the story just grabbed me by my cock and said, you're not going anywhere. So I was able to get through it. This one kind of grew on me a little bit. I didn't need my cock grabbed. So it was probably this and the world building were I'd say this and probably the characters, honestly. Once again, the only reason the character score is so low is because there wasn't enough time. But I'd say this, the animations and the characters are what really, really settled, like drove this home for me as being an anime I enjoyed thoroughly. So I'm going to give the animation, once again, around the same general area. I can't push it into the 90s, but I'll get as close as I can and give it an 89. if it looked a little bit better outside of fight scenes, it would easily be in the 90s because the fight scenes are super fun to watch and super cool. And there's a lot of fight scenes. Once again, it's not like it's 90% not fighting, 10% not fighting. It's probably like 65-35. So it was good. I enjoyed watching it. It was entertaining. A lot of bright, vibrant colors in the fights. And then you just kind of got to get used to how their faces look when they're not fighting. So I'll give it an 89. Overall enjoyment, I did enjoy this one a lot. The thing is, just like with Classroom of the Elite or what's the other? Tower of God. Speak of the Devil. If there's not a second season, it's going to be super disappointing anime because it's like there's so much potential here that might not get discovered, might not get dug into, might not get looked at. Like I said, they set it up for a second season. There was a mysterious character at the end that you don't get to see their face. There's the big twist in the story of the giant rocket and only saving select people. You don't know what happens there. The main fucking character only has 3 years to live. Where are we going with that? So it's interesting because I did really enjoy this season, but I will have a hole in the God Eater part of my soul here if there's no second season, which has lowered the overall enjoyment for some other shows in the past. It's not as bad as Tower of God, where I need to know, I have to know what happens next. So I'm not going to move it down too much because I did thoroughly enjoy it, but it will drop its score a little bit and I'll end up giving it an 84 for my overall enjoyment. It probably would have been in the 90s if I knew there was more coming, but I don't. So this is the final rankings that we're going to go with, and let's go ahead and add and divide all of these up and see where that puts this. All of that out of 600, and we get an 82.8 out of 100. So 8 out of 100. And let's see where that is going to put us. Let's cut, backspace. 82.8 is going to give us, almost there, to 83.3. So it is going to be just below that and just above. This wasn't part of the shark scale because I watched it before I started doing this, but some of you might be very confused as to what that is. It stands for Suppose a Kid from the Last Dungeon Boonies Moved to a Starter Town. That is the name of that anime. Anyway, God Eater is going to go right in that 27th spot. Let me make sure everything down here is still looking smooth. It is. It is indeed. So that's where we put it. Let's go back. Where are we at? God Eater. That seems about correct. What are we below? We're below Hunter x Hunter Beyond the Boundary. This fucking show, man. This fucking show. Oh, if you haven't watched my shark scale on Hunter x Hunter, please do. I have so much to say about that show. It's ridiculous. Beyond the Boundary is good, though. Anyway, that's where we put it. I cannot wait for season 2 of this. It's going to just bump this up. The only thing that's lacking is the overall enjoyment because there wasn't a second season, and now there's going to be a second season. Anyway, that's it for God Eater. I highly recommend it. It's short, quick watch, and might make you interested in the video game, like I am now. So thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. Hopefully you all have a wonderful rest of your day. If you've watched it, let me know your thoughts down below. I love each and every one of your faces, and I will catch you all in the next video.